I'm Alan Bresnick from Light Reading. We're here in Atlanta at SCTE Cable-Tec Expo. We're at the Guavus booth, and I'm talking to Andrew Sundelin. Andrew, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
All right. So, I heard you had a big moment today. You were doing a demonstration with Comcast about how to use your AI software to help them correct service problems.
Yeah, so we've been working with Comcast for about the past 5 years, and using our system to detect anomalies in a lot of their care-related data.
Right.
And then we've also been working with them on some more cutting-edge research related to using different types of data like X1 set-top box errors or other X1 types of information to predict some of these customer impacts and customer quality of experience problems.
Okay, so this demonstration is not an actual deployment. You were just showing how this might work. Is that pretty much
right?
it?
So we were showing the results of some research that we've been doing, looking at how things like X1 error messages and other data from the set-top box might be used to predict customer impacts like technical support calls or customer-reported trouble tickets, and look at different ways that we can figure out what the underlying problem is purely from this machine data.
Wow, interesting to put that together. What kind of challenges did you have to overcome to make this work?
One of the biggest challenges, especially with an operator the size of Comcast, and especially with data like this X1 data set, is just the sheer volume of it. With
the data that comes out of it.
Right, exactly. 20, 30 million subscribers,
right.
And 120 million plus messages per day coming out of just the set-top boxes. Taking that and then combining it with all the other subscriber attributes that we track is pretty challenging.
Okay, I'll bet. I can see a lot of the benefits that would come out of this, but what would be the most useful things that you see coming from this?
I think the biggest thing is, a lot of what we've done to date has been focused on identifying problems kind of after they happen, maybe shortening the time that it takes them to understand the problem and to resolve the problem, right. So helping the customer experience that way. But if we can rely on machine data, then we can actually get ahead of the calls and rely more on what the underlying network is telling us rather than relying on what the customer is telling us directly.
Okay. So now that you've done this demonstration, what's the next step?
The next step is that we're working with Comcast to productize this,
right.
And deploy it and get it operationalized. I mean, part of the challenge that Justin Watson, my co-presenter, mentioned is getting operations teams to understand the data and really understand machine learning. It's really going to be a mindset change. Going from our current kind of reactive approach to a much more proactive approach to dealing with these problems.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably at least as much a mindset issue as it is a technology issue, right?
Exactly. When you have one set of tools that's saying, well, I don't see a problem yet, and you have another set of tools that says, no, you don't see a problem yet, but it's coming.
Right.
It's kind of... there has to be probably a show me moment or some of that trust has to be built up over time.
Right. So a year from now, what do you expect to be able to see coming out of this?
So I think a year from now, not only will we be able to predict that these types of events are going to occur, so predict these trouble tickets or predict these calls, but we'll also be able to be looking at what the likely fix is for the problem. So being able to use machine learning to say, okay, not only is this the problem that's going to happen, but here's the best way to fix it.
Right.
In the Q&A session, someone asked a question along those lines, and I talked about the idea that there's different classes of solutions. So some solutions or some fixes might be really heavyweight, might really require some interaction with the customer, whereas other solutions might be relatively benign, relatively lightweight. Rebooting a cable modem, rebooting a set-top box might only have a short-term impact on their service, but could keep them from having to call in about a bigger problem. So looking at those fixes, I think, is really where the logical next step in the progression.
Wow, that's interesting. I look forward to hearing more about it. Thanks, Andrew.
Sure thing.